Hello, travelers, and welcome back to the Droid Cosmonaut podcast. I'm your host, Alto. Let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, so today we're going to be going over the Halo Infinite beta, or technical preview as 343 refers to it, or their flighting program. Battle Royale games in general and that market. Apex Legends Genesis event and patch notes, but mainly just the major changes that they made. And for the last half of the podcast, or the last segment, we will be going over gaming peripherals, so controllers, fight sticks, and headsets. So to get this started, Halo Infinite, the technical preview. I briefly spoke on this last week, or actually 2 weeks now, because I'm a week behind. And we got some news today from John Junshek. I think that's how you pronounce his name, at 343. Mentioned that there will be no surprises with when this beta comes out, or this technical preview releases. So make sure you are registered on Halo Insider and link up your account so you can get testing once the flights start going out. But I'm wondering, it's really going to be just a multiplayer technical preview, right? So I'm wondering what we're going to see from this and how different it's going to be from past betas that Halo has done. Because if I vaguely recall, for Halo 3, they had tests on just only one map on Valhalla, and I don't remember if there was anything outside of that. There might have been one other map, and I can't remember the name of that map off the top of my head. And I just remember that was a really fun time. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this technical preview, and if we'll get a chance to get our hands on all of the weapons in the game, or just limited to what's on that map only, if they're going to have like a training range so we can go ahead and do a run through the Spartan training range that they had mentioned. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that. And I actually think that we'll be getting it here within the next 2 weeks. And it seems like a lot of the channels on YouTube that follow Halo Infinite and provide Halo Infinite news seem to feel the same way, or closer to the end of July, and something maybe for early August, but we'll see. And it's just going to be really good, and I hope that everyone's excited about it, and that I think this Halo game is going to bring a lot more people to the Halo franchise, because of how much the franchise dipped off with Halo 4 and Halo 5. It definitely was in a decline from its hype. Halo 3 and Halo Reach, I think, and ODST were very peak Halo games, and it definitely did go downhill. And I've been hopping on the Master Chief Collection here and there, and I definitely realize how different Halo 4 feels from the older Halo games, but Halo 5 feels a little bit more like 343 was finding a sweet spot. And did I say Halo 4? Halo 5? Halo 5 feels like they were finding more of a sweet spot. Excuse my word processing today. I'm a little tired. But so Halo 5, I think, was in a sweet spot, and it was, I think, a good mix, multiplayer-wise, of some classic Halo with the new Halo thrown in, and maybe that's a little divisive, but I really think that 343 they were still trying to find what they wanted to do with the Halo franchise, and Halo Infinite is going to be, I think, the game that defines, it is going to define Halo. And Phil Spencer just recently on an interview talked about whether the success of Halo, whether it's, don't quote me on the exact words, but actually, let's go ahead and bring up those words, and I'll keep talking. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what Halo Infinite's gonna bring, and yeah, it's gonna be just really good. All right, let's see. We got so he says, Phil Spencer, and this is from GamesRadar.com, I'm not one of these dire prediction people. I think game teams, whether it's our teams or any team out there, they put enough pressure on themselves in delivering for customers when you're on a franchise that's as big as Halo, with such focus on every step and every word that's said. I trust the team, I trust the progress they're making, and I have confidence in Halo. He also mentioned that the game is... it's going to be here for Halo's going to be here for 10 years from now, and Infinite is not going to determine the franchise's success, but I think that we are going to see some great things from it. And some people took that as he didn't have much confidence in the game, but I really think that he is confident in Halo Infinite, but he just wants to express the fact that regardless of a game, if it's good or bad, they want to keep the Halo universe alive and keep it going, because people love it. And yeah, so just to go back a little bit on that, I think that the Halo Infinite beta we are likely to see in, I'm hoping 2 to 3 weeks, because it would be a good time to get it out there. I know that EA Play is coming up, so they might want to time it around that. And Battlefield did announce, or Battlefield 2042, and EA did announce that Xbox is going to be the official console of Battlefield 2042, which means that Xbox and all of the gameplay that they're going to be showing, or most of the gameplay they will show for 2042, is going to be running on Xbox hardware, so most likely the Series X. And we're also going to get an amazing performance mode on 2042 to give us some high FPS on the newer consoles. I'd like to see if they're going to do something like that on the last gen consoles, but our current gen, the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and of course PC. But we'll see. I think EA Play might be timed at a wrong spot for Halo Infinite beta to come out, now that I think about it, but they might just go with it and release it right before that or right after, so they can start that testing and get everyone hyped up for the game and get feedback so they can make changes before the game comes out. And I think they're committed to that. So let's go ahead and move on. So the next topic is going to be Battle Royales and that market. So Battle Royale games, I feel, are in a very interesting place right now, where I feel like there's too many, and almost everyone wants a Battle Royale in any multiplayer game that comes out now. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I just get tired of having to land, find gear, pick up stuff, and then, have just these 20-minute matches of finding gear, getting into fights here and there, and on the side of like Apex Legends, I guess it can vary. You can get a really nice hot drop and things go great. You can get a drop where you think everything's gonna go great and it goes downhill real quick. But the Battle Royale market is really strange, and it's really intense right now, in terms of saturation. And I think that, we've got PUBG is still very active. We've got Fortnite, which is also very active. We've got Warzone, Apex Legends, and all of these smaller Battle Royale games as well. The Ubisoft Battle Royale, which escapes, Hyperscape, I think. There's all these, there's all these different games out there that are using the Battle Royale formula, even Battlefield 5 Firestorm, regardless of its lack of success. I mean, there's all these games, and it's just so much, and all of them have live service, and so Battle Pass here, Battle Pass there, and I think that we can expect a return to more normal games, thanks to Halo Infinite and Battlefield 2042, because Battlefield 2042 is approaching their new mode has a similar version to, I guess, similar to Tarkov, which is good, because it's not going to be an exact battle royale, and so we'll see what that brings, whether or not it's good. I think Battlefield 2042's strong points are in its standard multiplayer, so Conquest and Rush type game modes. I actually loved Rush when they introduced it in Bad Company, and I know that the fan favorite is most likely Conquest, but I love having the objective-based mode, where you're pushing points, moving points, the map's changing as you're going through it, and I think we're going to see more of that with these new games, because Halo Infinite I don't think will have a battle royale, and even if it did, I don't know, I don't feel like it would be a defining feature for Halo, because the Halo multiplayer is so uniquely Halo, compared to other shooting games. I mean, the health and shield system is so different from everything else. And, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, you have a really quick TTK, and then in Cold War, it's a little bit longer, if I recall correctly. Not really big on Cold War, so forgive my lack of knowledge, but yeah, I think that we're going to see a return to the standard multiplayer shooter, especially with the introduction of how Infinite's handling the Battle Pass, and I think that's going to be really good, because I like being able to just hop into a match and just play a 10-minute, like 2 10-minute games, quick games of Slayer, or get on Battlefield and play, like a 20-minute match or a 30-minute match of just constant action, and being able to respawn and not have to worry about picking up all that gear. And I think that it's a totally different feeling, and battle royale games are good, and I think that games like PUBG paved the way for games like Apex Legends, and Fortnite definitely thrived off of they're thriving off of the success of switching to a battle royale game from what their original conception of Fortnite was. But yeah, and while I'm on the topic of battle royales, so let's go ahead and move on to Apex Legends and the Genesis event. So we've got the new event, collection event, and we've got some pretty nice legendary skins. I am particularly interested in getting Horizons. I think Horizon has a really awesome looking skin. Bangalore and Gibraltar also look great. I think that all of these legendary skins we've got, for Revenant, Loba, I think I said everyone, and if not, sorry. But yeah, that it's a okay event. I'm not the most excited about this event, and I kind of was hoping for more Titanfall 2 or Titanfall related content, regardless of it being in that universe. Season 9, they were leading up the hype by saying that Titanfall fans are going to be excited with what we're bringing in Season 9, and yeah, we have an IMC skin for Bang, and yes, Valkyrie is the son of a character that we're seeing with Apex, and it's not a lot of natural data that's being released by the Apex team. This is data that's being found by leakers, and it's making the game, to me, feel a little bit less interesting, and I have started to kind of fall away from watching these videos that talk about Apex Legends news and upcoming skins and stuff that have been leaked from the files. And I do think it is important for those type of personalities to exist in the gaming platform, because they're able to uncover things that developers might not have put out, or they should have put out, and it can kind of help get the fan base to say, hey, we think that's a good idea. But it also kind of spoils things, and it spoils the natural evolution of the game. And there's a lot of drama going around Apex Legends right now, with the Save Apex Ranked hashtag on Twitter, and that's kind of put me off a little bit too. I really just enjoy hopping on and playing, here and there, and trying to grind rank when I have time, and I'm not at that high enough level where it affects me with hackers, and I'm also on Xbox, so I don't feel like I see it. But yeah, so we've got the Genesis event right now, some awesome looking skins. There is the reward tracker, which it looks like the charge rifle skin and the EVA 8 skin at the end of that are really solid, and I'm digging the kind of thruster look that they've got on the EVA 8 drum mag, which just looks really cool. Quality of life changes that we got, we're not, I'm sure everyone expected a little bit more. I felt like we were getting a lot of information that was saying, hey, there's going to be some big changes, there's going to be a lot of changes in 9.1, and we definitely got a significant amount of bug fixes. But I think the biggest change really was to Revenant. We got changes to his hitbox, we got changes to his climb, and a little bit of a nerf on his tactical and his ultimates. And I think the tactical nerf was definitely necessary. It just felt really annoying to go up against a Revenant and then get silenced and then be basically unable to use abilities for 20 seconds. Because if you think from the perspective of a character like Mirage, where a big thing that Mirage relies around is his ultimate, and if you can't use his ultimate or his decoys and bamboozle absolutely everyone or just one person, I mean, that alone is it's a big I don't know, it ruins the fun of playing certain characters when you have other characters with a silence. And that's what a silence is supposed to do, right? It's and it's doing its job, but I just don't think that mechanic is exactly the most exciting. So I'm glad that they kind of brought that time down on that. His ult, I'm not sure why they reduced the time on it, and I think that was the change. But yeah, I think that Revenant now is in a really good spot, and with his climb changes, you can get to the top of almost any regularly climbable or building that has a staircase to get to the top of it now without issues, and it's going to be really good for flanking and third partying and sneaking up on people that didn't expect it. But yeah, so I think that Revenant's changes were well deserved, and I'm hoping that in season 10, because I don't think we'll see any more balance changes until season 10, which at this point I think we'll get is by August now. We're almost through season 9 already, so, and yeah, and we had some weapon balance. The P2020 got a little bit of a buff because they nerfed it too hard. But once they bring back Hammer Point, then we'll have God Tier P2020 again, and if they bring it back, I would like to see it return. It's very satisfying, and the sound effect that they got going with that P2020 is just really good. All right, so we're going to move on to the last segment, which is gaming peripherals. And what made me think about this was I have a Series X, and I absolutely love the Series X controller design. And the feel, they shrunk it a little bit, so it actually feels a little bit better in the hands. And the Xbox One controller, one of the models that I have is the Gears 5, and maybe it might even be Gears 4. I think it's Gears 4. It's the Gears 4 edition of the Xbox One controller. And even going back about like 1 to 2 years, I think the controller design definitely started to change, and the Gears 4 controller I have feels a little bit wider than the I also have like the gray and green monochrome type controller. It's like all gray with the green thumbsticks, and that was, I think, like 2 years ago. And I think that's where they started to really change the design and work on getting ready for the Xbox Series X controller, because going between the Series X controller and that controller, I feel the design is very similar, with very subtle changes across like the shoulder and the back of the controller, versus that Gears 4 Xbox One controller, which has a totally different texture to it. Mind you that it has this special design, but it also feels a little bit wider, and the angles on it are slightly different. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of the Xbox controller versus the other consoles, although the GameCube controller definitely does hold a special place in my heart. But also, I also love the N64 controller, for regardless of how wacky that thing is. And PlayStation, I've never been a fan of the position of the thumbstick on the PlayStation controller, but we've definitely seen that controller go through some interesting evolution with, you know, like the original, if I recall, on the PS1 didn't even have a joystick, or it might have. Man, it's been so long since I've seen a PlayStation 1 controller, but the PlayStation 2, I mean, we had the introduction of the DualShock, if I'm not mistaken, and or the next version of the DualShock, I guess I should say. And the thumbsticks on that, I mean, the controller itself felt very small, and not in the best way. It wasn't the worst controller. PlayStation 3 evolved a little bit on that, and PlayStation 4 was definitely a bit of an upgrade from there. But I think the PlayStation 5 controller right now is a really solid contender for one of the best PlayStation. I think it is probably the best PlayStation controller, to be honest, just from looks alone. But having the longer handles on the side, the longer grips, makes it look like it is a little bit better in the hands. And I know that the haptic system in that controller is significantly better than any other console. Which can, and you know, it can be gimmicky depending on how it's used, but it can add to your immersion. Yeah, I think we've seen some interesting evolutions with controllers, and Nintendo is always, you know, out in some other dimension with what they're working on, because they've gone from, you know, a square little brick to now we have the Switch, which has detachable controllers, and that started with the Wii, right? So we had two remotes to play, and you had the nunchuck and the Wiimote. And then the Wii U was like another evolution of the Wii, where we have this in between the Switch and the Wii, where you have a large controller that you can use and on its own to free up the TV, or play with it as a remote and then hook up other controllers. And then we got the Switch, which we have, you know, the Switch Pro controller, which is almost very similar to the Xbox format of a controller, despite the difference in like the angles and how the controller feels in the hands. But and the Switch controllers, the little whatever those are called, the Switch Joy-Cons. I mean, they're smaller, right? So they feel a little bit different as opposed to other controllers. They feel smaller, and it's supposed to be compact, right? Because you're supposed to be able to bring that anywhere and play games with it wherever you want. You know, bring it to a friend's house and hook up on their system, or you know, sync your controllers with their system so you can play Smash. And speaking of Smash, real quick, we got Kazuya coming to Smash from Tekken, and I might have mentioned that briefly on my E3 podcast, but It'll be an interesting to have like a true fighting game character in in Smash Bros. Along with Ryu and Ken. But yeah, and so on to the next part of the gaming peripherals. I wanted to talk a little bit about fighting sticks because I've been getting into Guilty Gear Strive and getting ready to start practicing that game. I have I think it's called Quanba or Quanba or whatever. It's a Chinese brand of fighting stick, Quanba. I got it during the end of the Street Fighter 4 era, and it has I have a octagonal gate, and it is a fantastic fight stick, and it's lasted me very long. My A button finally went out about 2 years ago, and Street Fighter 5 didn't really have me interested in coming back much to the game, so I've kind of used it seldom. But Guilty Gear Strive has made me want to get back into fighting games again, and so I've got a new A button on order that I wanted to slap in there so I can get started back and get back into that competitive street and fighting game scene, because I really enjoy the just learning how these combos work and learning how to play really well and all of that good stuff. It's super satisfying when you've practiced hours and hours and hours on Guilty Gear or Street Fighter or Blaze Blue for these really hard combos or these really things that require a lot of timing and practice, and then you're able to land them in a match. It's really good. But yeah, so fighting sticks, I've always had I've had 2 other fighting sticks before that, and one of them was a Mad Catz UMVC3. I don't even think it was Ultimate. I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 edition, and I've still got that. It's got a square gate, and I wasn't really particular of the square gates just because of a lot of the characters I like to play with, like half circles, and I felt like my inputs weren't as exact, but having the octagonal gate has really helped me perform those abilities better, and certain characters like charge characters, I feel like I do okay with charge characters in Street Fighter using a octagonal gate, but in that case it might be better to use a square gate, characters like Balrog. But yeah, and the hitbox is another interesting fighting game addition, right? Because you've got just buttons, and for me, I think I'm so used to the fight stick that the hitbox style is a little bit off-putting for me, but I think it is a unique addition, and you definitely see high-level players that can use it that are really solid, and it's just a really good it's just a good addition to have more things for fighting games, because I know fighting games right now aren't the biggest thing out there, but competitions like EVO, when we start getting competitions like EVO back and other fighting tournaments back on the scene, and I know we've already got like online, and there's always local tournaments too, and like online smaller tournaments too, which is awesome about the fighting game scene. But yeah, I think if you're into fighting games and you are playing and you've picked up Guilty Gear Strive, which has seemed to get a really big following, especially for more casual players, because they've made some changes to the game and the mechanics of the game, that it's worth looking into to pick up a fight stick. Yeah, so that's all I have on fight sticks and controllers. I did want to go over and just talk about headsets for a little bit. I have the Xbox wireless headset, the $100 version they released for the series, or the made for Xbox accessories. I'm using it right now, not for my audio, just to listen. But it's a really solid headset, and it's really good, and I think that with its capability of using like Dolby Atmos and the other sound profiles that they offer for Xbox and PC, and being able to use it for both my PC and my Xbox at the same time, actually. I mean, you can play a game and listen to a podcast from your computer, or you can connect it to your phone and listen to music from your phone while playing a game. It's just been super useful and super handy, and a really good investment. And I even use it for work, for conference calls and all of that stuff. It's a really solid thing. And SteelSeries also has some really great headsets, and even their wired ones. I mean, if you're looking for a new headset too, SteelSeries is a good option for their lower cost wired headsets, and their wireless headsets absolutely sound amazing once you get up into like the $100 and $150 range. But even their lower tier headsets are worth it, and even with just the standard stereo sound, they just sound great. But yeah, that's gonna be just like a shorter segment, and I'm looking forward to what we've got coming up this summer, and see what else we're gonna get with these games. And I'm really excited to get my Design Lab controller that I showed on the last episode. I can't wait to use it. I can't wait to just have it in my hands. So hopefully this Halo Infinite beta comes out soon. Hopefully we get some more from Battlefield 2042 at EA Play in the next few weeks. And I'm hoping that we get some more material from Apex Legends. We'll see what they've got planned around the corner. I'm looking forward to see what kind of character we're going to have at Season 10. And as always, thank you for listening. I'm always striving to get better at this. So if you have any feedback, I am welcome to it. And maybe next week we will talk about a different topic outside of gaming. Like I said with the initial podcast, I wanted to focus on gaming, but every once in a while I want to throw in a podcast focused around something else. So maybe we'll talk anime, or maybe we'll talk music, but we'll see. So thanks for listening, and have yourself a great day. If you liked what you listened to, go ahead and give it a like. If you disliked it, feel free to dislike it. And if you loved it, you know where I'm at.